Okay. Hello everyone, and today I try to tell some words about the topic SCADA and mobile in IoT age. So, a couple words about us. I work as security auditor at Embedded, and another researcher is Alexander Bolshev, who works as security consultant in Reactive, but I speak to say that Alexander can't arrive today because of work. So, in 2015, we decided to make some research about SCADA and SCADA in mobile applications. We choose about 20 apps and make short research each of them. We try to make some static, dynamic analysis, make some reverse engineering, and the results was pretty obvious. Each application has at least one security vulnerability. After that, we wrote some advisories, make some white paper, and so on. At that time, SCADA and SCADA mobile applications were very uncommon. As for me, I couldn't even imagine that someone could be able to control the entire technological process or its part using his tablet or other mobile device. But with the spread of IoT, the things has changed. That's why after 2 years, we decided to make research again and to see if in security terms things became better or not. In this presentation, we heard nothing about some hardcore exploitation or how with DOM-based self-XSS you can take control over the domain administrator, nothing about it. Just simple findings and common vulnerabilities that can be met in mobile applications. And also because we can. Boom. So, some agenda of presentation. First of all, some theory, what is ICS 101, after that what applications were taken, and after that some vulnerabilities and conclusions. So, what is ICS 101? ICS in general terms unites software and hardware complexes, including such things like SCADA, PLC, HMI, etc. Nowadays, each factory, plant, railroad, or even your house can be controlled by some kind of ICS. ICS collects some data from field devices and process this data using automated algorithms or operator-driven supervisory and decides what command to be sent back. So, how it looks like in real life and how it looks like on the paper. There is 3 main levels of ICS infrastructure. The lower level, there are numerous field devices allocated. So they do all dirty work. For example, controlling the temperature and the pressure in reactor, turning pipes on and off, and do them other stuff. On this level is the kingdom of such protocols like HARP, Profibus, and other low-level protocols. On the second level is where all intellectual work is done. Such things like SCADA or PC can be found there. So, on this level, the data that was collected from the lower level is proceed, and some system decides what to do and what commands will be sent back. The entire technological process is happened on this level. And the highest level is where integration between industrial process and business process. So some business systems like ERP, etc. can be found there. So, some ICS 101 terms. There are transmitters, programmable logic controllers, what is SCADA, OPC, HMI, MES. There are really a lot of abbreviation. So, what typical mobile threats can be for mobile SCADA application? First of all, there are two types of mobile applications. For remote access, including MES clients, remote SCADA clients, remote alert application, etc. And local room apps, including PLC configuration, SCADA clients, and some others. So, on this slide, you can see where each application can be placed in the ICS landscape. Yes. So, first of all, local room apps. They can be used to controlling and configuring the industrial process or its components. There are several types of it. First of all is PLC configuration apps. They can be used by operator to monitor or configure some PLCs or field devices or controllers, etc. The second one is SCADA clients. They can be used by operator to supervise the industrial process in the case of need. There can be some SCADA clients or VNC over SCADA. Also mobile HMI panels. This type of application allows operator to design or even program the HMI panels and connect its components to field devices. And there also can be OPC or historian client. They just do nothing but aggregating some data, and the operator can see some useful information, I think. It's important to say that all these applications are supposed to be in the safe zone, so in the plant network, not outside of it. And here comes remote applications. These applications are supposed to be outside the safe zone and can be used by operator to control some part of a technological process. For each app of this type, we found some documents, schemes, pictures from vendor where these type of applications supposed and written to be outside the plant and used by operator. So it's clear to say that it's safe to say that the attack surface for such applications are much wider than for local room apps. So what are the main typical threats? First of all, it's the device theft. Those attacker got the device and he can do whatever he wants. But it's safe to say that in this case, a lot of the device can be easily noticed. The second case is when operator left his device on the table unlocked and went to have a lunch or have a break for a short period of time, for example 10 or 15 minutes, and the attacker got the device. So what he can do, can he, for example, just access the device and send some dangerous sections to controllers, or can he access the SD card, the data that is stored on SD card, etc. Or just install some malicious app that can help him to compromise the applications in the future. Some problems with communications can be, for example, if application transfer its data to server using some unencrypted protocol, the attacker can spoof this connection and sniff the credentials, and after that use them. Or he can just modify the connections. Also, and at last, the application compromise at all. Applications can have a lot of vulnerabilities, from problems with permissions to remote code execution. So, what are the common attack vectors? The first of all is when the attacker tries to influence directly or indirectly on the technological process. For example, attacker can send some malicious data to controller and try to break it, or that is more even dangerous, change its configuration. Just imagine, during some technological process you're supposed to get some product, but after the attack modification you got the same product but slightly worse. In 2015, Maria Crotterfield made a research where was a fine example. paracetamol of 100% concentration cost about 80-100 euros per kilo. Paracetamol of 99% concentration cost 8 euros per kilo. Also, the attacker can just try to break the field device, so it's, I need to say that he can't blow up the factory, do some really important damage, etc. But he can try to stop the technological process, and to start it up, it sometimes requires plenty of time, from months and maybe a year. The other attack vector is generating false alarms and hiding real ones, or in other words, tricking the operator. For example, operator received some notification that there is a high pressure in tube, and he decides to lower the pressure, but instead of expected behavior, the things got worse. Or in another case, if operator had got notification, he will easily cope with the problem, but he got no one. So let's talk about our testing approach. During our analysis, we do some common checks. Using acquired results, we were able to evaluate the program in terms of safety. Each check provides us some useful information or actual bug, so that bug can in the future became the point for further research. After all the checklist is done, we were able to evaluate the program in terms of safety. After all this done, we do some more specific research. If application use some binary protocol or hard to reverse, we do some fuzzing. If application stores some data on SD card, we try to replace these files with randomly generated ones. After that, we make some deep analysis of application with reverse engineering, try to understand how it works and how it can be influenced by attacker. So in most cases, the testing approach operated the same that was in 2015. So what about the checklist? First of all, we should know the purpose of the application. Is it used for SCADA, HMI, PLC, etc.? So what permissions are required by application? So when you install some app on device, it requires some permissions to access internet, write something on SD card, etc. So by analyzing such permissions, we can understand how, if the attacker found the way to compromise the application, how it can influence on the entire device or other applications. And also we can understand that applications can collect some data that it shouldn't. Second is, has application any password protection and can it be turned on? Any intents that can be fast, or has it native code? So unlike Java applications, native code application can have much more problems like buffer overflows, use after free vulnerabilities, and many other. Are there any code obfuscation? Did application use any web-based components, as we must do some web checks? How the communication is done? So are there any credential used during the communication? Are there any tokens? Is application use some insecure protocol, or how is self-pinning is organized, etc. So, and also, what information is stored on SD card? Is it encrypted? What information can it be used by attacker, and so on, and some other minor checks. So, all our findings we try to group. Into Avast Top Mobile for 2016 groups. So what tools were used? For Android, it's Dexter, Underbox, MobFS to get low-hanging fruits. For instrumentation, FreeDA, fuzzing, also for protocol analysis, and also for each application we try to find some demo servers or use some other simulators. So, what apps were reviewed? We picked up about 32 applications. Most of them is local room apps. And only 12 of them are remote access applications. We try to avoid applications that has low downloads or used for controlled testing. We try to pick up those applications that has in their description strongly reference to some words like SCADA or HMI and had updates for recently 2 years. If they hadn't, they were reviewed in our previous research. So, what we found? We found more than 100 vulnerabilities from lack of password protection to remote code execution. Here you can see the table with some final results. There are top 3 bugs we found. First, of course, is code tampering. Most of application has nothing, has no any protection from their code modification or root detection. So it's great to research because there is no need to bypass any security mechanisms. Second one is insecure communication. And this table, you can see that there is only 11 apps. But this is only remote access applications. If we took all apps with local room apps, there will be that 90% of all applications use insecure channel to communicate with controller or server. And the third one is insecure data storage. So in most cases, if application stores something, it will be SD card. So let's talk about some groups. First and most important is improper platform usage. All platforms has various APIs and features that well documented. Improper platform usage is when you are doing something totally wrong. So you break every guideline, every rule, so you are really a bad person. But there is really a lot of ways to shut your own foot. So let's see some example. In 2015, the researcher from Digital Security found that Xamarin-based applications can load their libraries from SD card. So you just need to put build it library in specific folder, and when application starts up, it will load it. So it's typical DLL hijacking. And you also don't need administrative rights or rooted device, and the folder will be on the same place from device to device. 4 applications has such vulnerability. But it is not about the DLL hijacking, but about the usage of the components with known vulnerabilities. Another example is improper intent export. So in one application we found that the minimum version of SDK was set to 9. So that means that all intents were exported to public. So any other application can use this application intents and try to communicate with it. So they can connect to its database using this intent and change the data in the database or just wipe it out. Another vulnerability is my favorite one because it's really easy to find. The security vulnerability can appear when application try to store some data on SD card. So any other application in some cases, or even viruses, can get access to this data, modify it, or even delete it. Even this data can be modified and accessed when you try to connect your device to the PC, so that I can just connect the operator's device to his own PC and grab all the data. So while analyzing applications, we found that many apps store their sensitive data on SD card, like configuration files, some log files for HMI projects, And even, as I said earlier, application libraries, Fox Marine based. Here is some example. At the bottom of the slide, you can see an example of such data. In most cases, this is settings or some project data. Also, while researching one of the device, one of the application, we don't understand how to start it work. So we read the documentation, and there was written that we should create specific folder on SD card and put there all our necessary files, and all will be fine. Yes, all will be fine, except that in this case, all other applications can get access to this data. There may be some drawback, because it's not easily, for example, just imagine you got some data you want to transfer to a secure folder on your device. In most cases, it's not very easily to do. Insecure communication. For local room apps, it's common that they don't use any encryption at all. For remote access applications, in most cases, this is HTTP without no encryption. And only few applications, really few, used, for example, SSL pinning, or etc. And there will be also some problems. First of all, one application tries to establish secure connection to remote server. And if it can't do it, so the normal application must make some notification and says that I can't establish secure connection and do nothing. But this application switch to HTTP protocol and continue working. So the attacker just need to spoof the connection between application and server, and he gets all the credentials in clear text, because the application can't establish connection. Another problems can be while creating SSL pinning. There are three types of it. First of all, it is. So it's good. There can be no SSL pinning. Yes, it's bad, but who cares? And second one, I think, and the worst, is when programmers try to create own realization. I need to say that only 10% of all reviewed apps has SSL certificate pinning. So, I really don't understand why anyone tried to put some certs in apps, write lines of codes, or use some guidelines from others. All really can be done much easier. Oh, yes. You just need to check the issue name of the certificate if it contains a vendor name, so all fine. No one ever can create the same certificate with the same issue name. I don't know how. Another. So you need to transfer data to application, but you don't want to use SD card because of insecure data storage. So you can write your own FTP server in application, and so in this case the development software will connect to your device, to the FTP server in your device, and put files in there. So while also creating your FTP server, there is no need to handle any exceptions. So insecure authentication, it's all about storing passwords on device that in most cases passwords do not require to access the device, and really many applications transfer passwords in clear text or using some insecure protocol. So the attacker just need to sniff the network and get the credentials. Another, insufficient cryptography. Some applications used hard-coded passwords or keys, so the attacker just need to reverse the application, get the key, and from that time he can decrypt all the information from other devices with the same app, because the key is the same on all devices. Such information can be some configuration files, for HMI's project files, etc. Another case, so cryptography is really hard thing to understand. If you want to use IS for strong encryption, but there can be a lot of unknown words like IVs, encryption mode, only must be in byte arrays. So this is not you want for rapid application development. And on Stack Overflow, all already coded. So you just need to Google it, Control-C, Control-V, and paste it in your code. And sometimes all will be working. Two applications use the code that was copy-paste directly from the Stack Overflow. So I think when Stack Overflow is down, those devs will take the day off, SI. So insecure authorization, what's about? It's lack of password protection, some IDORs. I need to say that in most cases, there's only one user in SCADA mobile applications that already the administrator. Also hidden endpoints are also hidden and so on. Password protection. Are there any password protection for application, or can it be turned on? So it can help to provide the attacker from taking some direct actions. So before it, he must pick up the password. Even a 4-digit password can protect the device. So there are 3 types of it. First of all, the password for application only. So if you want to get access to application, you must enter the password. Second one is common for remote access apps. So when you hide the application, you must enter the password again to get to connect to the server. And second and third one, I think the most hardcore, is when all data encrypted with your password. So if you forget the password, say hello to new configs. So there is no way to restore it. Well, also bugs do not appear from nothing, but made by people in most cases. So while researching, while making some reverse engineering of applications, you also find some interesting findings. First of all, do you know how to handle exceptions in 2070? The answer is no how. So there is really no need to handle any exceptions because it's Java applications, so who can do anything there? So, other. Someone wrote FTP server in their app, so we must go further. We write own HTTP server with denial of service and memory management problems. So any other applications can connect to this HTTP server and breaks it. Because this HTTP server listens to all interfaces, even when the device is connected to some Wi-Fi network, any other people can get access to it. So the vulnerability in this web server was about the parsing the content length. So you just need to set some big value, and when it tries to allocate some memory, it will crash. So another my favorite bug is next. So there can be some problems not only in SCADA applications but in some apps while working with zip files. Zip is pretty simple format, and how to pack or unpack can be found in every programming language examples. So many custom formats are nothing but zipped files like jars, vars, docx even, and so on. So what vulnerabilities can be there? Let's see some example. I took this code directly from one of application. First of all, it opens some file, some zip file to working with. After that, it tried to tag the first zip and try that contains a local header. Local header contains information about the file, like its name, its size, modification date, signature, etc. After that, it takes the name of the file from this zip and try. This is not the actual name of the file, but some string value from the structure. After that, it combines this file name with some value to get the path where all data will be written. And after that, it writes its data. So if zip and try, if the file name in zip and try is data.png, it will be written in one folder. But if it contains dots and slashes, all will be written in another folder. So to test working with zip problems, we used the next tool, find tool. So what the attack vector can be. For example, operator try to download some HMI project file from a remote server. The attacker spoofed the connection or just replaced the file on the server, and when the application gets the zipped data, try to unzip it. So it's not only rewrites the actual project data, but some data in another folders. So how it looks like in real example. So we created some zip file with dots and slashes that will rewrite the background font of one of HMI applications, one of HMI applications. So after that, we created another project and try to open it with dots and slashes, and we get the zip traversal, and after that, instead of lamps and temperature, we got Homer Simpson, beers, and a couple of mouse. So client-side injections. Many applications are just nothing but WebView that loads some data from remote server. There can be a lot of problems here, like using HTTP that can be connections can be easily sniffed. Using some, they can use some JS that is not can be used only for popping up alert boxes for fun and profit, but in some cases, attacker can use it to get remote code execution on the device. Some coarse problems, usage of the file scheme that allows to view some files from SD card in your browser. Some example. One application load some HTML files from remote server, so the attacker and use HTTP for that. So the attacker can easily replace files, and also the application use some specific library, so Apache Cordova, so he can insert some instructions in the result HTML document and get execution of specific commands on the device. So even he can try to get real remote code execution, not just popping up alert boxes. Code tampering. So it's safe to say that rooted device is very common for Android applications, and it allows you to do with the device whatever you want. But there is some drawback that any other application can do whatever they want with whatever they want. Some applications try to detect root using some common methods, and sometimes you can see such pop-up that when the application detects that they are running on rooted device, that you are only your own responsibility for any other actions. So, yes. Other any code obfuscation and application. So the code obfuscation in most cases can be used to make the life of the searcher much harder, and can be used also to hide some bugs. Some applications use code obfuscation, some not. I don't know why programmers can't even turn on it, because it's really easy. Some rights problem. It's safe to say that the typical application requires some rights. For example, to connect to the internet, because it's need to transfer its data to remote server controller. Sometimes it's needed to write something on SD card. Yes, it's bad, but who cares? And sometimes for notification, it requires to gather some stats, like battery stats, to make some vibration, and so on. But some apps require much more that they can even handle. So the attacker, if the attacker finds some way to some way to exploit such applications, he can use all these rights that application have. As someone said, that rights are not given but taken. So, while researching, we also try to see, to find some vulnerabilities on server side. And we found someone, from SQL injections to denial of service and other OWASP top 10 stuff. First of all, SQL injections can be found not only on vendor side, where can be used to replace the application that can mobile application, but also on the backend servers, especially for OPC and SCADA clients. So the attacker can just wipe out all the data and or replace it with new one, so the clients can do anything. One of application allows to unauthorized user to download HMI schemes. This is not very useful because without configuration they are useless. But this on the server side we found some directly traversal that allows not only with the HMI schemes but any other files like winini, to say hello to winini. So typical direct traversal parameter. And denial of service. So can be found not only in application but in development software. So while fuzzing project data, we also try to test it on development software, and sometimes we can crash it. So other interesting things and funny things. While doing our research, we try to get some demos and development software, and sometimes because we don't know how to handle with them, we try to write to a support member of the vendor. So once upon a time when I downloaded such software, I got that in the vendor software there was really tons of unknown buttons, and I really don't know even how to close it. So I wrote to support and asking for help to create a hello world example. But instead of any help, I got that there is really too long to describe, and I should go for a seminar to train the tool, not for free. And another example, some application has some demos there for free, and the full functionality you must pay some money. So sometimes it's nothing but the waste of money. One application has some features that allows to communicate using UDP protocol with development software, and so we want to test this communication. We bought it and try to connect and got nothing. So we analyze it and see that development software and the application use different UDP ports. Okay, it's no problem. We make some proxy and still got nothing. So we wrote to support team and asked that we can't communicate through UDP, and we got that this feature is not working at all, and we should use SD card to put our project data. So really a waste of money. But it's rather exceptions. Many vendors really helped us. And also, in the age when everyone uses HTML5, CSS, and other interesting words, can be found paint-based design. So really funny looking up, but in the terms of functionality, it's really good. So done all the things it must. So some conclusions. First of all, for developers, that there is some unit test must maybe. So there must be also the password protection, and try not to storing anything on SD card. Yes, or if it does, to store it encrypted. So really need to catch exceptions, write limits, and real good examples of application is Siemens logo and Siemens S7. And so in our previous research, we took about 20 applications and found nearly 50 issues. In 2017, we found about more than 130 issues in 32 applications. And I need to say that things got really worse. So nearly 20% of all findings allows to trick the operator or get remote code execution not only in application but at the server side. So in 2015 we wrote that with the spread of IoT all will be better. So and all problems will gone. But we were mistaken. So that's all. So if you had any questions, I can ask. I can answer.
Hey, if I saw correctly, you suggested to pin the certificates only based on the canonical name of the certificate. Was that correct?
Can you?
Yeah. So the idea behind the certificate pinning should be to pin to specific key or issuer, and your recommendation doesn't protect, for instance, from ROC CA.
So this is about because of pinning with issue name.
Yeah.
Oh, it's I don't know how to say it right in English. It's not normal, really. It's yes, in brackets. It's nothing. So it's really how not to do. The real
okay. So I misunderstood the slide.
I try to write the vendor that's this is not right and how all they done, and they try to. They said that's all okay, all secure, all that I can't do anything to it. So
okay.
this is not how it should be done.
Okay.
This is wrong.
Okay, so everything is fine.
What?
So everything is fine. I misunderstood the slide.
Oh,
yeah.
thanks.
Thanks.
Not all SCADA apps are actually apps. Some are just a window to a portal server somewhere. Have you looked at those as well, like Sunny Portal or something like that?
Sunny Portal?
Yeah, that's from SMA.
Let's see. I don't know. I don't remember actually. So let's see.
It's for solar farms, basically. It's just an example.
Sony. I don't think we pick up Sony.
Because that pretends to be an app, but it's basically just a viewer for their website portal.
Well, I don't remember exactly. Yes, but one of application is real just a VNC server.
Okay.
So I tried even create own VNC from this application. I can connect to VNC on my computer. That is not actually even any SCADA or something app.
So then you're looking at the vulnerabilities from a VLC point of view, or are you actually attacking the server? Or both?
And in this case, we look any vulnerability in application itself, because VNC server is it's VNC server. It's nothing about it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.